Thank you so much for joining, everyone. We'll give it just one more minute before we go ahead and begin. All right, Darby, I think we're ready to go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead and kick it off.
All right. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. Today we will be covering third-party app overview, as well as doing an Adobe Sign and ServiceNow demo. We're super excited to show these all to you. They're awesome integrations that we now have available from within inside of Teams. Before we begin, though, we always like to kick it off with some introductions. My name is Bridget Ballard, and I'm a Customer Success Manager based in Bellevue, Washington, covering the West region.
And my name is Darby O'Brien. I am also a CSM for state and local government, and I actually just recently moved out of the Reston area. I'm in Maryland now, but I cover a lot of accounts on the East Coast. Awesome. So like Bridget said, today we want to talk about third-party apps and Teams and some really easy ways to get them integrated into your Teams client. So before we jump into the demo and a lot of cool apps that we have access to now for government tenants, let's just kind of level set with what are third-party apps, how do we get them turned on, and what does that process look like? So third-party apps and Teams are applications developed by third-party developers that integrate into the Teams platform. So those are just not Microsoft-owned apps. Some really common ones are things like ServiceNow or Adobe Sign, DocuSign, Workday, right? So those are some really common services that you may use right now today, but you just haven't yet integrated into Teams. So thinking about the services that you use right now is a great way to get started. So if you're thinking about, oh, Bridget, if you could just go back a slide for me.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. So thinking about, those are some great examples on that slide there, but just trying to start to turn the wheels on what am I using right now, and then checking and seeing if that app exists within Microsoft Teams is a great way to get started and a great way to make a case to IT for enabling that app. So that brings me to my third point. What we're going to show today is some already enabled apps in the tenant. So when you go look for your apps, you may not see the same things as us, because third-party apps in government tenants do require IT enablement. So if you see an app and you think to yourself, oh, ServiceNow, I use that today, just not yet in Teams, that may be worth bringing up to your IT admin or to leadership to see if that's something you could get turned on for your Teams environment. Essentially, it is just a connector from that app into Teams, so you can use the app within Teams. Anything you want to add there, Bridget?
Nope, I think you covered it, Darby.
Awesome.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah, so on this slide here, just a great example of some very common apps that we see used in the state and local government space that directly integrate into Teams right now. So if you see an app on here, this is just a short list of the many, many apps available, and you think to yourself, oh, yep, we use ADP now, or we use ServiceNow right now. Then you may want to reach out to your CSM, get a conversation going with that vendor, and we can talk about how you can easily integrate that application into Teams. A really good way to think about apps in Teams as well, just from that third-party standpoint, is the same way that you would download an app on your iPhone or on your Android, you would pull that app. It's not necessarily an Android app or an iPhone app. Someone else created it, and it's just a connector for you to get into it. So that's essentially Teams would be the cell phone here, and these would be the apps that you would add on.
Darby, we do have a question, which I think would be great to address now. Is there a list of GCC approved third-party applications for Teams?
Yep, that's a great question. So if you want to click to our next slide here. There is, we're going to send you this slide deck. We're going to post it to the landing page. So here's a list of the apps available in an app dashboard for you to poke through. You can see which ones are 100% GCC compliant, but every single app that you see can be enabled in a GCC tenant. It just requires being enabled by your IT admin. So essentially all apps could be in the GCC environment. It just has to be turned on. By default, they are not turned on.
Yeah, great point. And again, within these lists, it lists all of their compliance structures. So when reviewing these applications, it will be up to you to look at what specifically can be enabled in your environment. But just as Darby said, all of these are available for GCC. So what we see a lot of customers do is kind of come up with an app governance structure. And that is something that your Microsoft team can help with too. So if you haven't thought about apps, or you have and you're curious about how other organizations structure their governance, definitely reach out to somebody on your Microsoft account team, because we have lots of resources internally that can help you start thinking about that.
Awesome. And if you do not know who your Microsoft CSM is, just feel free to drop us a chat right now in the Q&A. Let us know where you're working and we'll find them for you.
Do you have anything else to add there, Darby?
I don't think so.
If not, I will jump into this. So before we get into the demo, we just wanted to provide a list to get you all thinking about some common third-party applications as well. At the top, Esri actually just released their ArcGIS map integration for Teams. I know a lot of people were excited about that one, and we're looking to demo that actually on our next call in June. We have some other popular ones listed on here: Workday, Trello, Adobe Sign, DocuSign, just among some of the really popular ones. And then one thing to call out as well, you can see that we have Brainstorm and AvePoint listed on here. Those are some of our learning and governance partners. So if you have partner organizations already working with your team, ask that representative too if you have access to their application. Likely you own their application as well, which can be tied into Teams. A great example of that is the Brainstorm Quick Help app. If you are a customer that has Brainstorm, you can leverage their training portal from inside of Teams. So likely a lot of these might be things that you already own. And just as Darby mentioned, when you plug them into Teams, all they require is a simple sign-in. And at the end of this slide, which we will post, we have the links out to all of these applications as well, so you can view them and read about them in AppSource. So next, just before we jump into the demo, what you'll be seeing today, we will be doing an Adobe Sign demo. We listed DocuSign on here as well. If you are not an Adobe Sign owner, it is still a great demo to take a look at, because DocuSign does have some similar features inside of Teams. We've seen this become increasingly popular within COVID, the need for virtual document signing. We've listed some popular scenarios on the right-hand side. A huge portion that we see is the need to share screen externally and sign papers with external vendors or new hires. Court scenarios and invoice processing are also some popular scenarios that we have too. We will also be doing an overview of ServiceNow. Again, if you are not a ServiceNow owner, there are lots of ways to help, lots of ways that teams can help automate your IT business management as well. So it's still a great demo to take a look at, because there are ways that we can leverage some of our other services to help you accomplish the same type of structure that the ServiceNow integration gives. So with that, Darby, we can go ahead and jump into our demo. I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that you can share your demo screen. Are you ready to go for that?
Yep, sounds good.
Perfect.
All right. So what we're using today is actually a click-through demo. So typically, if you attend these calls, we jump into a demo tenant and we do it live. But we found some really great demos for these two tools today, and we'll actually send you the link to these. So if you want to click through them yourself as well later, maybe with some teammates or maybe with IT, you've got access. So first and foremost, we're going to do the Adobe Sign demo, and I'm just going to click through here and kind of talk through some of the features. But essentially, I'm going to break this down into 4 sections. The ability to send and sign an agreement inside of Teams, a live signature process, staying organized and managing your agreements inside of Teams, and then tracking the signature process with the Adobe Sign bot. So like Bridget said, Adobe Sign and DocuSign and some other e-signature applications have become very popular in the wake of COVID, but it's a great way to receive documents, track your progress, and sign them directly inside of the application that you're already using to collaborate. So that's the beauty of adding these apps into Teams. You may think, yeah, I have an Adobe Sign agreement right now. I use it all the time. It works great. Why do I need to put it in Teams? That's exactly why. So you're not clicking around, opening different tabs. It lives in the application you're already using every day. So with that, I'm going to start clicking through here, and I believe we start with send and sign an agreement. So it's kind of a click-through screenshot demo of inside of a demo tenant. I'm going to talk through a bit more than these pop-up bubbles will, just to kind of give you a good picture. But right off the bat, what we can see over here on our left-hand rail is the Adobe Sign app has been pinned. Individual pinning is now available for GCC tenants, but there's actually a couple ways you could use this app inside of Teams. We're going to show you all of them, but right here is one, which is the left-hand rail of Teams. It's more individual use, in my opinion. You could also add Adobe Sign to a Teams channel. So maybe you and your teammates are tracking a contract or you're building a contract together. You could add it in a Teams channel. And you can also add it in a chat. So maybe just you and one other person are working on a contract together. So that's 3 different ways you can add Adobe in Teams. But for the first one here, we're going to go right through this pinned app on the left-hand rail. Right, so we would click on the Adobe icon, and it's going to launch the app for you. As you can see, we are 100% still in Teams here. So at the top, I see 3 tab options, and we'll kind of skip this about one, so we'll narrow it down to these 2. The first one is chat, which we're actually going to demo a little bit later. But that's the actual chatbot that you can communicate with. And then you have your Adobe Sign. So when we click into that, this is where we need to sign in. This is what Bridget and I were talking about. It's just connecting us to our current Adobe license. So we would go ahead and sign in. Likely you'll only need to sign in once. And then now we have opened our Adobe Sign tab, and we have 2 more tabs up here, Send for Signature or Manage Your Agreements. So first and foremost, we're in the Send for Signature tab. This is where we would send out a contract for others to sign. So maybe you need a vendor to sign something. Maybe this is new hire related, whatever it may be. You need to come in here and enter the recipient's information. We would add their email. We would add a message here, and we can drag and drop the file that we need them to access. You also have some options here, whether you'd like to password protect or set a reminder. And you go ahead and click send. You're going to see a confirmation, and you're going to get updates when the document has been signed. You will be notified by the Adobe Sign application, and you can track the progress of this signature of this contract with the Adobe Sign application. So it really just brings all of that functionality directly into Teams here. So the other person doesn't necessarily need Adobe Sign to sign this. It's going to go right to their email. If they happen to also have Microsoft Teams and Adobe Sign pinned in Microsoft Teams, they could actually sign this directly inside of Teams as well. Oops. All right, this bubble here just explaining a bit of what I just talked about. Awesome. So now it's going to show us Adobe Sign in a Teams channel there. So we would hop into the Teams section. You would go ahead and add Adobe as a tab here, just the same way you would add any other app into a Teams channel. In this case, they've got a lot of apps enabled, so you would search for it here at the top, find the app you want to add, and connect it. This is the exact same process that you would do to add a PowerPoint into a Teams channel or a Word document. This is just adding an app. Now we have that same ability that we just had in the standalone app here, but in a Teams channel. So again, the benefit of that is if you and your teammates are working on a contract together and you don't just want to make one person take that load of getting the contract out and editing it, Now we can all keep an eye on it, keep updates on it from our Teams channel. So just different use cases there. All right. So that was the send and sign an agreement. Bridget, are there any questions in the chat that I could maybe point out before we move into the live sign?
Currently no questions on Adobe Sign. I think you are good to continue.
Awesome. So the next portion of this demo is the live sign functionality within the Adobe app. So like I said, you can also sign documents in real time by hopping on a Teams call. Let's take a look at that. So in this case, we're now going to hop into the calendar tab here because we're going to schedule a meeting and we're going to sign a document in that meeting. So it's going to walk us through the meeting schedule process. I am sure many of you are familiar with that, but just so you see here, it's nothing different. I'm not doing anything through Adobe. I'm just creating a meeting. So I would give my meeting a title. I would probably add some details, pick my date and time, add my required attendees. Best practice to add an agenda here, and we will send it out. So this is just a normal meeting. Now we created our meeting down here. So let's go ahead and jump in. So now we are in this call together, and now we want to go ahead and pull this contract in so John can sign it. I see he's already on the line. I'm going to open our chat window. And what you'll see down here by your type a new message bar where you see, your emojis and your GIFs and stickers, there's an ellipses there. And any apps that your organization has enabled that can be integrated into a meeting chat will show up there. In this case, we're going for Adobe Sign, right? So that's what we're going to select. I'm going to go ahead and add live sign to this meeting chat. All I need to do is look up the agreement that I have previously made or the document I previously made by looking up the signer's email address. That would be John in this case. I found my agreement here that's connected to John's email. That's the one I want to choose, and I will hit next. Now that I have all my information here, I can double check, right? This is the right agreement, it's in progress. It's for John, and we'll go ahead and share the agreement in the chat. Now a card has been created in our meeting chat that John can now click on and hit review and sign the document. This is great if you need a witness for a document signature to do it in a live sign environment because it's going to prompt the signer to share their screen. So either A, you can walk them through the process, or B, be the witness to the signature. So John would go ahead and click review and sign here and share his screen. And he would just begin the signing experience. So if you used Adobe Sign before, this should look very, very familiar. We're just going to click through the contract and sign in all the spots required. You could either type your signature, draw, or upload an image. Again, very, very much like the regular Adobe Sign app. When we're all done, we will hit our click to sign to finalize this document, and we're all set. And just like that, you've signed your document within a Teams call. So the signer is going to receive an email with the confirmation and a completed version of the document for their own records, and you just have signed a contract here on a Teams call. Any questions on that one, Bridget?
Hey, Darby, we do have a few questions. I think we will most likely need to address them with the Adobe Sign reps and then post them after.
Okay, yeah, no worries. It's a good point to call out. Bridget and I don't work for Adobe Sign, and we're not Adobe Sign experts, but we certainly know a few, so we can reach out to them and make sure we get your questions addressed, and we'll post our Q&A the same way we do every single month on our landing page. So check out for that early next week, and hopefully we'll have some answers back to you. All right, the next one here is the ability to stay organized and manage your agreements with the app. So what we're going to do is hop back into our Adobe Sign icon here, Just like I said before, we could access this through Teams or chat if we wanted to. This one's just demoing right from within the standalone. And we're going to click back into our Adobe Sign tab. But this time, instead of being in the Send for Signature, which we demoed first here, we're going to hop to the Manage Agreements tab. And this is where you can track the progress of all of your agreements. This is a super cool feature to me, to be able to hop in here and say, okay, what have I sent out? What's out for signature? When did I send it? What's the holdup? You could see what contracts are potentially waiting for you here. What do I need to go sign? What's been completed? What got canceled, expired, still in draft? And then this is a really cool one here, the ability to create and set templates. So if you are sending out very similar contracts, I think a great example of this would be a new hire contract, right? You don't want to rewrite that every single time. Come in here and create a template for that, and then select that template when you want to send it out. So this is a pretty lengthy click through, so I'm not going to show you every action here. I kind of just talked through everything it's going to show you. But again, another cool feature here is if you click on an in progress contract, A, we can see what's going on here, if there's any updates, and B, we can send out a reminder. So if it's getting close to that due date, maybe you just want to hop in here and send out a remind. Right, so this is going to click through what I just talked through about seeing signatures waiting for you, completed signatures, and all that jazz. So I won't make you watch me click through everything I just talked about, but I think this is a really cool section, and just know it lives in that same tab. It's just this second one over. And our very last one here is tracking signature status with the Adobe Sign bot. So I'm going to fast forward to that piece of the demo. This is another really neat feature of adding this into Teams, is you get access to the bot. So we're going to head over to the Adobe Sign icon here, and we're going to stay in this first tab here that says chat. I see here in my very first message, it's telling me that things I can ask for. I can ask to check status, show some documents for me, or show documents for others. In this case, in this demo, they're going to check status. So we would come in here, communicate with the bot to check status, and send. It's going to ask us the name of the document that we are checking on. So we will give it the document name here and send that. Now it's going to pull up that document and let me know what's going on. So this one is waiting for a signature, was sent out February 17th. That was a long time ago here, so maybe we want to send a reminder. And directly from within the bot, let's send out a reminder. So like I said, you can access Adobe Sign from a Teams channel and chat as well. This was an example of just clicking on the app. The next piece of this demo is going to show you what that looks like within a Teams channel. But this is a really neat feature to even not have to go into your manage agreements and check there, to just quickly chat the bot and say, hey, what's going on with this agreement? And it will give you an update. So let's see what this looks like from within the Teams channel, and then I will hand it over to Bridget to do ServiceNow. So I'm going to click on my Teams icon here, and I'm going to hop into a Teams channel. This one is specifically designed for contracts. That's what it's named. But again, you could add this to any Teams channel here. I'm going to start a new conversation, and I'm going to @ mention the Adobe app. Just like how you would @ mention a teammate if you were trying to get their attention. By doing that, you trigger the bot. And now this is the same message that we just saw, but in a Teams channel. So again, if you're working with teammates on a contract, maybe you want to ask that bot the question in the Teams channel so everybody gets the update, not just you. So this is super neat to me. You can actually just ask it in a thread here. We could ask it a status update and get it here in a Teams thread. Again, you can do this exact same thing in chat. For the sake of redundancy, I'm going to pass it on over to Bridget because it is the exact same process again. But I just want to show you, you've got some variety. You can work on this with one teammate. with as many teammates in your teams or individually with the app here. So really neat app, a lot of cool functionality. Just wanted to share it with you today. I know it is one that a lot of people already have in their organization, so you just may want to consider integrating that into your Teams platform. And with that, Bridget, I will stop sharing my screen and hand it back over to you for Adobe Sign.
Thanks, Darby. Looks like we may have been a little overzealous trying to do 2 in one session, so we might go a few minutes over, but thank you all for staying on the line with us here. I am going to share my screen out now, and we are going to go ahead and take a look at ServiceNow. As mentioned before, if you do not own ServiceNow, there are definitely ways that we can help you achieve the same concept with whatever IT management service that you own. So without further ado, going to go ahead and click into our demo. So let's look at specifically how ServiceNow Virtual Agent interacts inside of Teams. This one is specifically a bot. Again, it is called the Now Virtual Agent. I will click to start a chat just like I would with any other person. And I call the Now Virtual Agent from within there. And now we can start chatting. What I love about this is all I have to say is hi. And then that pulls up a bunch of selections for me. For the sake of time, I am going to switch over to one of our other demos in here. We have 3 different paths that we can choose. All of them are a different selection under this dropdown. So for the sake of time, I'm going to skip the submit a hardware replacement and just go into create and escalate an incident. So we're back inside of the chat bot. We've said hi, and now Virtual Agent gives us some options. As you can see, we have a bunch of different options. You can preset these for your organization. The open IT ticket feature is phenomenal. What it does actually will let you open a ticket, but before you open the ticket, it gives you a few things to help troubleshoot. We've seen this be very helpful in minimizing tickets that are actually opened because it forces people to do some troubleshooting on their own before they actually go and submit that ticket. So unfortunately, Megan was not able to be helped by the Now Virtual Agent. So she clicks no, these articles did not resolve. And then she's able to rate her urgency of the issue. And you see that we have our incident request put in. The incident number is listed in the top right-hand corner, and then all of my description underneath it. We're able to actually click on Go to Incident. That will take Megan out into the ServiceNow web portal, where she can view any additional details that are added to the incident case. If you are not satisfied by this, you are able to go in and escalate the incident as well. So let's say that a few days later, the issue still hasn't been resolved. We're able to go in here and escalate from the list. Now there's a few more steps within this workflow. Once we click on this, we're able to escalate it up, and then that now goes into the escalation queue. Before we end, I do want to show one other workflow because I think this one is also very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and switch into our reset password. And you'll notice very similar beginning to our other workflows. We're brought back to the drop-down screen of our options. And you'll see we now click Get Password Reset Link. And then directly from within the chat, I was able to send a reset link to myself so that I'm able to go into my email, reset my password, and then I'm good to go. So as you could see, when I was in the drop-down menu, there were tons of different options. Currently, there's about 1,400 pre-made IT topics in here. But something to add is that this can be customized. So let's say that you want to use it for your HR tasks, your onboarding, your payroll. You can utilize the Now Virtual Agent for that too. So with that, Darby, I know it was pretty quick. Are there any questions specifically related to ServiceNow before we wrap up?
I don't see any questions here, no.
All right, so just reiterating again, if you don't own ServiceNow, there's ways that we can help make these bots tied into Teams simply from Azure. So definitely reach out to your account team or your CSM if you like what you've seen here and are interested in learning about it for your own organization. I'm simply going to switch back over to our PowerPoint really quickly and show some of our appendix slides. We do post this. Oh, I'm still sharing my other screen, aren't I? One second. So just as we wrap up, wanted to show you all some of the resources that we'll have at the end here. We have included the app source links to a lot of these common applications, and then we have some FAQs already pre-built. So definitely be on the lookout for when we post this. Typically we post it around Monday or Tuesday of the next week to allow us to gather time to submit all of your Q&As into here as well. But we have lots of resources in here to get you started. And as always, if you want one-on-one assistance or on anything that you've seen today, please do reach out to your Microsoft CSM or your account team. Anything else to add, Darby?
I think you covered it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining. As mentioned, we are hoping to have an Esri demo of their ArcGIS map next month. So be on the lookout for that. And then we also have some exciting topics coming up this summer around new feature releases. So with that, thank you all so much for joining, and we look forward to seeing you again next month.
Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend.